Hey everybody, it's Stephanie Ward of fireflycoaching.com, and I'm here today with Charlotte van het Woud. Did I say that all right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have an English, so I have a name that I use for English because it's more easy to pronounce because my last name is really hard. So usually I call myself Celine Charlotte Woods, like the
Okay.
trees, Woods.
Right.
Might be
Okay.
easier.
Selena Charlotte Woods. We'll put both
Yeah.
below in the links. And Charlotte is a experienced entrepreneur, very successful speaker, writes a column for the financial newspaper here in the Netherlands. And she is the original creator of the teaching courses online using Instagram. This was all her idea, and everyone's copied it in the Netherlands, and will probably start now as well in other places. And she's created 5 courses, and she's done it all by building her Instagram account. So she's here today to share her secrets and tips and ideas about how this can work for your business. And she's also recently announced she's launching this course on how to use Instagram stories in English. Yay! So that will be, you can buy it now. We'll put a link below. It starts November 2nd, but let's get into it. Tell us, how did you get this idea to even do a course on it, teach a course on Instagram?
Yeah, so for everyone who doesn't really understand how it works, I just make a separate private Instagram account, and I set it on private so nobody can, follow it.
Right.
And first I let people buy a ticket for the account, and then I let them in. And then all the course materials, the modules, all the exercises, and the whole community you can find in that account. And I started it 2 years ago. I remember inventing it in a way that I was sitting on the window and I was thinking up of a way of how to make more money online. And I thought, well, I should start a course. But somehow I thought the whole idea of videotaping myself and putting it somewhere on a platform, it seems like a huge hassle. And I thought, can I make it easier for myself, something that goes really quick? And that's how I thought of making it on Instagram instead of on an e-learning platform. And I remember, like thinking of it on Monday, and the day after, on Tuesday, I already launched it. And then immediately it blew up and became a really successful course with over 500 participants.
Okay, hold on. You thought of the idea on Monday and you launched it on Tuesday?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer of launching stuff without really, finalize everything. So I just thought, okay, so I can give a course about productivity. That was my first course. I had at the time a following of maybe 10,000 followers, I think, somewhere around that. And they followed me because in my stories, I shared a lot of tips about productivity. And I always knew when I start giving out tips in my stories, people love that the most. They really like to have that sense of knowing how I do stuff and how you can be more productive. So that was the course subject. And then I just really quickly made a website, really simple website where I outlined the whole course and got a buy this ticket, and it was only 15 euros, so that's around $20. So it was really cheap because I thought, well, maybe nobody's gonna buy it, it's gonna be my first course, I don't know how it's gonna work. So I made it really cheap, but yeah, it worked really well.
So that is amazing. I just want to share this whole action idea that you just you get this idea and you just test it out immediately. You don't think about it. You don't wait around or make it really long and drawn out. You just immediately launched it. And
and especially you don't talk about it.
Ah, okay.
I don't think you should. I'm pretty sure if I at the time would ask other entrepreneurs or maybe friends or family around me, like, do you think this is a good idea? I think most of them would have said, no, that sounds stupid. Nobody's going to pay you to follow you on Instagram, to follow this account. Like, you should do it like this, or maybe, I'm such a believer in just go with your own idea and take that enthusiasm that you feel and that sense of, oh yeah, I feel that could be something big or could work, and just go with it. Just start it immediately. Like, even some people like to sleep on things. I most of the time just start it like and then I sleep, and then the next day I'm like, okay, maybe this was a bad idea, or it was actually pretty good. So I used the fuel of enthusiasm in the first 4 or 5 hours after thinking of a great new idea. I use that to kind of immediately launch it.
Amazing. Okay. And do you think that the course is successful because it's on Instagram? I know you have amazing content. I've been following you since we met 4 years ago. But do you think, how much of it do you think has to do with the fact that it's on Instagram? It's a completely different format, so it's intriguing, and how much has to do with the actual content?
I think it's like 80% content, actually.
Yeah.
I do believe in the concept of giving a course on Instagram because it's quick and easy, and people like quick and easy. So if you buy a course and you have to set like an hour a day apart to really dive into all the material and maybe, you know, navigate towards a separate account, it's a really different feeling of opening Instagram and seeing the course material just in front of your eyes between the updates of your friends. So I do believe in the concept in a way it's quick and easy. But if I didn't give good content, or if the content wasn't strong enough, then people would be actually extra annoyed. Like, okay, I bought this course and I don't like it at all, and it's not working. But yeah, so far I have over 13,000 people that bought a course. So
Amazing.
I know that the content is really good. People really make transformations by the content that I share. And it is actually a little bit more work to put it in. I thought when I started it, oh, okay, this is like a lazy way. I make, you know, a course on Instagram. I don't have to do all the stuff with video. But we're 2 years further, and I made some courses on video platforms too, to experiment with, you know, that kind of concept too. And it's actually way easier to make a video course because then you can just start and keep talking, right? You don't get cut off after 15 seconds. In my Instagram course, I get cut off every 15 seconds. So I have to really make sure that every 15 seconds I say something that's inspirational or informational or something that, well, makes a transformation into my participant. And that's really different. It's a really different way of giving content than if you have like video of a half an hour and you can just talk and chat and make mistakes and, you know.
But it seems like even with and just for anyone who's not clear, 15 seconds, that's how long you have for each story in Instagram. Yeah. That's what they're called. It seems though that doing it with the stories, it's more engaging than just watching someone as a talking head. It seems like it also seems more, it's so meta that I know you teach on many topics, but that you're teaching a course on Instagram about how to do Instagram. But it seems like it also makes it much more interesting to do it on Instagram.
I think there is a way that it brings you really close towards the one who is participating. The person who participates in my course. It's you know, you're this talking head, and it's a little bit. It's a feeling a little bit more that you're a friend than I think if you go to an e-learning platform and you watch a module that is specifically designed to give you a course. I believe though, in a broader sense, that the way that most people create online courses right now is still, you know, a little bit, it's already a little bit outdated most of the time. And I do it too sometimes. I've made courses like this. You're like, you know, before a white screen and you keep talking for half an hour. But most people don't have that. I'm not sure if I can find the English word for it. Like they can't concentrate for so long on you. Like they are easily distracted, they need something else, so they start, while they're watching your course, they start scrolling through Instagram because, you know, they get just bored of the same head talking all the time. So that's why I think the Instagram course does work. It does a great job there because it has a lot of variation. Sometimes you see my head, sometimes you see only text. It's every 15 seconds another surprise of what you're gonna see.
Yeah, I've done the course. I did it last year and I loved it. So it's very engaging, like you did. Well, and like you said on, I'm not sure where, but your stories also, people finish them more than the average. So yeah, like you have 50% retention.
Of my followers that swipe away with my stories. And the average, so this is a big misconception. People usually look at the amount of followers you have, let's say, for instance, 10,000. And then they think 10,000 people will watch your stories, but not at all. Like globally, the amount of people that watch your stories is around 10% of your followers. So if you have 10,000 followers, it's pretty normal that only 1,000 people watch your stories. Because of the algorithm, because of, maybe they are not really interested in your stories and stuff. But for me, my percentage of people that follow me and people who really watch my stories is 50%. So of my 40,000 followers, 20,000 watch every day.
That's amazing. Okay, so maybe we can do two things. If you could tell us maybe just some tips on people that if they want to make better stories, of course, if they want to get the whole thing, they have to buy the course. But if you can give some tips on that, and then also maybe talk about, because I have heard you say in the past that you don't mind if people model what you do. So you're not saying no one else should use Instagram to sell courses, but of course, don't copy what you're doing. But do you think it's a good idea for other small business owners to try to do that as well?
So the success is all about how good are you in making stories. If you can make your stories engaging and fun, and if you notice that most of your viewers normally on stories keep watching and keep engaged to you, then you're probably just good in making stories and you are probably fit to make an Instagram course on stories. But if you have trouble making your point in 15 seconds, it's one of the things most people struggle with a lot. Like they think of a concept they want to explain to their audience and they start their video start talking and it's like 1 minute has passed and they still haven't really reached the point they actually wanted to tell them. That's a bad habit. And if you have that habit of talking and that habit of teaching, people get bored with it. And it's really, you actually can better do an email, like an e-platform course, a normal video course, because you have the time to go to that point. But in stories, people will swipe away or don't want to watch any further. So I think the success of an Instagram course depends a lot on how good you are in creating stories. And obviously I'm pretty confident in my story making abilities. So I think because I'm so good in making stories, the course on Instagram works for me. So yeah, the other question was about how to make good stories, right? Well, I think one of the biggest and easiest tips, and I'm so surprised nobody's, like a lot of people don't do that, is subtitle yourself. Most people don't watch stories with the sound on. So if they just see a talking head and they don't have the sound on, they're not intrigued. So they're not gonna stay and listen. They're just gonna swipe away because they see a talking head. So just adding subtitles, and I do that just by typing in real quick the most important information that I'm telling on video. That will immediately bring up your follower count because people keep watching and because they can understand now what you're saying. And another big one is surprise them a bit. So I have this rule that says 3-3-3, and that means that after three my accent is getting in the way here. After three stories, so after 3 stories of me talking in the camera in a certain point, from a certain point of view, I change position. So you can see me walking, or you can see me filming the inside of my fridge, or something that gives them a different view than the few stories before that. So only 3 times the same and then change. And by doing that, every time they get this small, like, boost of excitement in their brain, like, oh, there's something new to see. Oh, there's something new to see. And if you keep giving them something new to see or to hear or to look at, they keep engaged.
And just to note, you are a masterful storyteller for many reasons, because you do a lot of work, but you're also a former journalist, so you know how to tell a good story. So definitely learn from that. Is it, did I dream this, or can you also speak the text that you want to type?
Yeah, you can actually. I know people do that sometimes. Instead of typing it, and I don't know if it's also on Android, but on iPhone there is this function that you can speak it, and then it
types.
Come up. Yeah, it types. Yeah, and Instagram is actually right now rolling out a new function that when you talk, it immediately translates it already on the screen. I've seen it with 2 or 3 people, but
Oh,
Instagram is testing out new features every time, so I'm never sure when it's gonna
right.
be out there for the whole world to use. But yeah.
And do you know, is it better to have, like, is it an idea that you can also do live captioning and then upload that story, or do people actually like to see the text written out already and not just
I believe in
coming?
written down already,
Okay.
because I'm, for most of my own tips in my courses and everything I teach, I just look really careful what I think, what I like the most. And often when I'm on stories, it's not, so most people really overestimate actually the time people are willing to spend on them. So
Mm.
mostly when I open Instagram, I'm just like a little bit lazy and scrolling through stories, and I'm not completely invested in every story. It's just only when something like jumps out to me that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this really close now. I'm gonna see what this person says. But that's like really, really seldom. So I think if you have the notion that people are not interested in you, and that's always my idea, with every story I make, I know I have to kind of win over my public and win over their interest. So when you type it like slowly whenever the words come out of
Right.
your mouth, I'm pretty sure that after 2 words they're already left if it wasn't
Right.
interesting. But if you see
Okay.
a certain text block there and it really interests you because I say something that might be inspiring to you, or brings you on another idea or something, then you keep watching and keep reading it, and you're engaging. So I think the slower, the worst actually. Just the quicker you can give your information, the better.
Okay, super. So those are sort of 2 amazing tips: is to change after 3, to subtitle and using actual text. Um, and
And you know
I,
what is a really quick and easy one? Use doors. And it sounds really weird, but if you film a door, like for instance, I'm going out for a walk,
all right.
and you open the door and you step through the door and you film that whole process of opening a door, people will always be intrigued, because it's just like a small Hollywood movie secret thing that if you open doors, people are intrigued because they want to know what's behind the door. So I actually use a lot of doors in my stories. So it's
That's a
like
great tip.
yeah.
Where are you going? Does that include the refrigerator door too?
It's in the exclusive refrigerator. It actually is like just opening up your cabinets in the kitchen even. People are intrigued. Like I can see a
Right.
big cabinet behind you. I would be intrigued to say, hey, I'm gonna show you what's inside.
Right.
And it's a stupid small thing, but people like that.
Right. And what else I heard you saying when you were talking about it, that you want to try to think about the person watching. That's such a big shift that I think so many people, you've got to keep in mind what's in it for them. So stop thinking about yourself and what you want to say, and
Yeah.
focus on your audience, your potential clients, the people that are watching. That's such a key thing that you said. And I think it's just something we forget to do sometimes. But
Well, I used to be so nervous to be a public speaker. That was a really big thing for me. And when I started out as a public speaker, that was one of the tips that I taught myself, is instead of standing there and being really afraid of how they would judge me and what they would think of me and how they would perceive me, I just started thinking about, what am I giving to them today? What am I talking about? What do I want to happen within them by my words? And by shifting that focus from me to them, it actually helped me a lot to just, grow as a speaker. And it's the same thing I apply to my stories, always thinking about the people who are viewing and watching you, instead of thinking about, oh my God, everyone's watching me now. I just think about, okay, what can I give to the people today?
That's an excellent tip and a way to wrap that up, especially for people who want to do stories, but they're like, oh, I don't want to be on camera. To make that shift, it's not about you. Focus on the value you are delivering to your people.
Yeah. And it is like, I can relate so much to all the fears around being on camera. 3 years ago, that's when I started my stories, I was too shy to go on camera, and I hated my own head on camera, and I thought I was really bad in it. And for me now, it's almost impossible to to get that feeling again, because I'm now so used to it. But I was like miserable on my first 2 weeks on camera.
How did you get over it? What did you do to get because you're so good now?
So more in like overall view, it really helps a lot if you stop judging other people. So
Ooh, that's a good
really
one.
believe that when you watch other people and you have all these judgments about them, oh, her hair looks stupid, or oh, I don't like her voice, or oh, that's not interesting what she's sharing. All these sharp, mean voices about other people, then those are actually the same voices that you use to talk to yourself. So when you're in front of the camera and you want to talk, you think, oh no, my hair is stupid, I don't have everything interesting to say. So what I did is I just started following people that I found were really inspiring me. So every time I was watching their stories or their videos, I only had thoughts in my head like, oh my God, she's amazing. I love what she's doing. This is so helpful for me. I'm so grateful she's doing this. And look at her, she looks beautiful, although she didn't comb her hair or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure that the voices that I used to talk to myself and to other people were way more kind than the mean voices I had. And that made a huge shift.
Wow, that's a great tip. Excellent tip. Okay, because the idea, let's just be clear with stories, is it's you. So we're not showing, you can show some things turn the camera around, but the idea is that it's you having a conversation or sharing something as a face or video, right?
Yeah, so stories are, I mean, everyone can use them as they want. Obviously,
Sure.
Some people use it to share photographs, but I believe that the strongest connection you can make with your followers is when you turn the camera to your face and talk to them. Because people are addicted to see other people talk, and we focus on the mouth and on the eyes, and that brings a lot of recognition with themselves, and it builds trust, and it's just the best way to communicate with your followers. So I usually call it vlogging, and that's what I'm particularly in my course really teaching, like how to vlog, how to build your confidence in that way that you know what to say, you know how to say it, you have a really interesting way of putting your thoughts on video. Yeah.
Okay. And before we talk more about the course and get some more details, another meta part of this whole thing is you market your courses using Instagram stories. Again, another layer of this meta story. So can you talk a bit about how you market and promote your courses?
So I believe a lot in Instagram as a marketing tool, obviously. I use it almost daily, so I share little bits of my life on Instagram. And by doing that, by sharing what I think of, by sharing what I'm doing, what I'm eating even, or how I dress, people get a sense of who I am and what I believe in. And they kind of get the idea that they starting to know you or starting to know what you're all about. And that creates this bond that will make them confident enough to actually buy one of my courses, because they know, okay, so I know Celine Charlotte, I know a little bit what she's about. I really had some transformations maybe already when I watched her stories. So I'm really confident I'm gonna like her course. And I think that's a way of marketing that I really like, because it's so authentic. And let's be honest, really easy, because I just have to show my life and have to show my thoughts, instead of me spending all my time that nobody knows something about me, but I have to really convince them, like, buy my stuff, buy my courses. Really, it's going to be cool for you. I'm really sure it's going to be cool. I don't have to convince them in that way, because they already know me. Same way you don't need to convince your friends that, you know, you're a good friend, because they already are friends with you. So I like that kind of more subtle, authentic way of selling, by just showing who you are and what you're made of. So I do that by incorporating, like, for instance, when I spend my whole morning working on, I don't know, cleaning up my email box, and I have a course about productivity in 2 weeks, I will say, okay, so I just cleaned my email box. This is one of the tips I do that. Do you want to know the other 5 tips? Just, you know, buy my course.
Yeah.
And that's so natural to me. It goes so easy because I know the best tips I always keep for in my courses,
Mm-hmm.
but I give them little bits already and they can see, okay, Charlotte or Celine, depends on how people call me. I listen to both of it. Celine is actually really authentic, productive. So I can buy her course because I want to know how I can be productive too.
No, I'm so glad you shared that example, because that's what I was thinking as well. Is that what I've noticed is you always tie it back to something. You
Yeah.
connect it to an actual lesson or a tip, or like you said, something you're actually doing yourself. And so it's completely natural segue to then just say, and if you want to know more, I have this course. So
That's also because, again, I always think about, so what does my viewer has? Why do I make this story? What is the information or the value to them? And most of the time, if I only say, okay, I just cleaned up my email box, there's not much value for them. But if I say, hey, and if you want to learn how to do it too, here's a tip, that's value. And here's the second tip, you can buy my course. That's also value in a way, right? So if they get envious because they want a clean email box too, they can then buy my course. So I see it also as giving value in a way.
absolutely. Okay, so we mentioned the course that's the first one that's been translated into English for all the
Yes.
English speakers, and it starts November 2nd, but you can buy it now. The links will be below. Do you want to just give us a highlight of, like, tell us, like, we know we watch it or look at it on the Instagram, but how many hours a day it will take, or how long it takes? And
Yeah, so it's only 4 hours actually. So I've got 4 hours of content.
Okay.
And what I do with my courses is I give you a month access. So it's only a month, and after the month you get kicked out of the yeah. And that actually that's a way to make sure that you really follow it. Like I said before we turned on the camera, I have so many courses that I bought and I never do them because I feel like, oh, okay, I have lifelong access, whatever. So I give you a month access to the whole Instagram platform, and it's 4 hours of watching all my stories with in all those stories, all the tips and tricks about how to make stories to create more engaging followers, and in that way more clients. It's particularly guided towards entrepreneurs and coaches and everyone with a business, because obviously I'm a business owner and I love to teach them, okay, this is how you sell your product or your service in stories in a natural way that feels not like yucky or scary, but authentic to you. There are sometimes people who are not an entrepreneur who can still, you can still participate, obviously, but there is a lot of content for entrepreneurs. And it's in the first week, I release one module every day at 10 in the morning. And the module is in stories. So you have a highlight with the module in there and you can just swipe your own way through the stories. And then there are exercises every day. And well, the community is always pretty awesome. So most of the time in my Dutch courses, around 1,000 people participate for every course. So that's a huge community with people who are at the same path of learning, and everyone is encouraging each other, and that's a lot of fun. I'm not sure for my first English course how many people are participating here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a really warm and cool community. And I end the course with a Q&A where people can ask me questions. And
like a live Q&A.
A live Q&A, yeah. So you can bring
Okay.
in live questions, and during the course I will also answer questions that come up, and my team is on it too because I'm working with the team. Yeah, it's always a really lively and really cool experience, especially the first week when everyone is starting, and then after that, because it's only like 4 or sometimes 5 hours, depends on how quickly you go through the stories of modules to watch. The rest of it is just practicing with your stories.
Okay, so it's like 4 hours total, so it's like 15 minutes a day, which is so doable. And then you can go back.
I just believe in that. I believe in doable courses. Because if you make something extremely complicated, nobody's really going to make the time for it. So I like to keep it short. I want to make sure that people make a transformation or step out of their comfort zone. Well, I have over 3,000, almost 4,000 people who did this particular course. And I've got so many extremely happy people that finally found the courage to vlog and start being visible online. And for me, the skill of talking on camera, it opened up a whole new world. And I used to be a journalist, as you said, and I was so shy for that camera, and I was so afraid it wasn't for me, because I was someone who could write, and I'm not, I'm a writer, not someone who can talk on camera. And it changed my life when I finally kind of plunged into, okay, I'm gonna be online visible, and I'm gonna talk on camera. And it often starts really slow, and I always encourage people who never talked on camera to just show and start. And even if you're not doing my course, start with the little stuff, like showing how you walk to your work. That was actually my first story. Like, I showed myself standing on the corner of a street, and I filmed myself and I said, I'm walking to my work now. And I was so afraid. I practiced it over 30 times, and I was just like trembling, and I was so nervous of bringing that small piece of video out there. But after 2 weeks, I could make full sentences on camera, and people always, when they see me, they kind of think like, oh, well, she's a natural in video. I wasn't. I really wasn't.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is the #1 fear. I talk to a lot of my clients as well, and they're afraid of video. And to see you now, it's almost impossible to believe that was the case. I totally believe it is true, because I've been following you. And I also want to say that it is amazing what you've done. I mean, starting 2 years ago with 15 euros for the course, and now it's over time. You've run them so many times. You've had so many participants. Oh, also that you've never had anyone ask for their money back, which is amazing.
I know.
But it's just proof that this transformation can take place, even if you are afraid of video, like you used to be, and now you're totally, nailing it and doing it, teaching it. And so it's a great course. I highly recommend it. Like I said, we'll have the links below. Did you want to add anything else about the course, or anything else in general, tips for the entrepreneurs and small business owners watching?
Well, maybe it's good to explain, because I have a Dutch account,
Okay.
Celine, and I've got an English account.
Okay.
And I do that because I believe that when you have a Dutch audience, people love to buy from Dutch people. Mm-hmm. So for all my Dutch courses, I use my Dutch account, and I created an English account because I believe, again, that if an English client would come to my Dutch account, they wouldn't understand it, and they would unfollow me, obviously, because I speak a different language. So that's why I've created 2 accounts. So if you're native English, or you speak English, you should follow Celine Woods. And if you're Dutch, you can follow Celine Charlotte. That's like it's a little bit confusing still, but it's kind of working. I don't know.
It's gonna work out. I think it takes a little time. I'll include all the links below, so you can choose to follow one or both of those accounts. Again, the course is 199 euros, but that's like $236 around that. But I guess the shopping cart converts the currency.
I actually don't have that kind of fancy shopping cart.
Okay.
I wish I did, but no.
Okay. In any case,
I should put it somewhere there. Like, yeah, it's around $236. Yeah.
It's around $236. You can always put it in the currency converter if you're in a different currency and watching this. So thank you so much for sharing all of these super valuable tips.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and looking forward to the course starting November 2nd. I highly recommend following Charlotte. She's really got insightful tips for entrepreneurs, and she's a proven success. So she's the real deal, people. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.